Hi, I'm Cathy Thomas. I'm honored to be joined by Plata, Director of Culinary Arts for Kei Concepts, the oh-so-popular and ever-expanding restaurant group. With his talent for creating flavor-forward dishes, he will share one of my favorites, scallops with crisp fried noodles. Welcome, Chef. Tell me about this dish.
We've taken a classic French beurre blanc and infusing some of our Asian flavors into it, and some beautiful seared sea scallops, and then to add a little bit of texture, some crispy egg noodles.
I love the contrast between the tender scallops and the crunchy noodles and that beautiful sauce. Show me how. I can hardly wait to learn.
Okay, so we're gonna start off making our beurre blanc. So I've got some garlic and ginger, and we're gonna saute that off in a little bit of oil. We're taking a traditional beurre blanc, and we're gonna infuse some of our Asian ingredients.
You want a little sizzle?
Yes.
All right.
I can hear the magic happening. We're going to go ahead and add some more aromatics. Sprig of thyme, black peppercorns, some sliced shallots. So probably about half of a large shallot or one medium shallot.
And that's dry white wine.
Dry white wine, yes. We want to let this reduce down, probably to about 1 tablespoon.
And if I'm making this sauce in advance, can I cook this down and have this ready to go before I make my sauce?
Yes, you can. It'll actually save you a lot more time.
Yeah.
You see, it's almost just about disappeared, so we're pretty close. I've got about a tablespoon of soy sauce. We're gonna add that in, and this is where the Asian comes in. Maggi seasoning.
And what does the Maggi add?
It's a flavor enhancer, but it's a vegetable base, so it adds a lot of umami. Just like soy, but there is no soy in it. Heavy cream here. We're also gonna add sugar.
And that sugar balances it out, doesn't it?
It does, the salt from the soy. We're gonna let this reduce once again.
And could I do this in advance?
You can absolutely do this in advance. The whole thing you can do in advance.
It's important to know.
It is, especially if you're having dinner parties.
Yeah.
We're pretty close there.
Do you think it's reduced by half?
I would say a little bit more than half. We can probably start incorporating or mounting our butter. It really looks like a lot, but it's probably gonna be enough for 10 to 12 servings.
And you're not worried that it's so hot at this point it might break your butter?
Well, what we're doing is we're heating up the base and then we're cooling it down with the butter.
Okay.
And we'll find that equilibrium. You really can't make a small amount of this because it will, like you mentioned, break or separate.
You're not waiting for it to melt. I can remember chefs that have said you have to wait for it to melt before you add more. But you're just kind of adding it in a nice rhythmic stream.
Yeah, again, as long as you've got it cut into little cubes, that will help the process too. Always whisking, yes. No texting while whisking either.
No answering the door or the phone.
So I'm gonna go ahead and add the lemon juice now. A little bit of kosher salt. We're gonna go ahead and strain that through a chinois. That is our finished soy ginger butter. The next thing we're gonna do is saute off our vegetables. Because I've already pre-blanched the cauliflower, we're gonna start off with the mushrooms. At the very end, just wilt off our choi. You can use any type of greens, gailan, broccolini. I love broccolini.
And I'm partial to gailan.
Yes. I like shimeji mushrooms. They've got a nice meaty texture, and they kind of keep their shape versus some of the mushrooms that will shrink down. So we're starting to get a little color there. I'm gonna go ahead and add the cauliflower. And it's important to not overcook your vegetables. You really want to be able to appreciate the texture.
And if you wanted to make a vegetarian version of this, could you do it?
A vegetarian version? Absolutely. Yeah, I love eggplant. That's probably my favorite vegetable.
Yeah.
A nice thing that you can do too is you can take the king oyster mushrooms, or they call them orangi mushrooms. You can actually cut those up and sear them, and they'll actually emulate scallops on the plate.
Good to know.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and add our choi. And then before it wilts, just so I can get a better idea of how much salt to put, a little bit of pepper as well. We'll go ahead and transfer this to our plate. Oh, it smells delicious.
Yeah, it's really gorgeous.
So let's go ahead and sear our scallop.
And I notice you have them sitting on some paper towels.
Yeah, so you want to make sure you're patting them dry, and that's going to help sear. Any extra liquid you're not going to get a nice caramelization there. And you want to go pretty high heat to get that nice sear.
Right.
The scallops will have a natural saltiness, so just a touch of salt and then a little bit of pepper. Once our pan is nice and hot, we'll go ahead and heat up our oil and place it right in there. You can use a non-stick pan or cast iron pan. One of the components that we have here is our crispy egg noodles. It's gonna add a nice textural contrast to the scallops and the vegetables.
Are they fresh noodles or dried noodles?
They're fresh noodles.
Okay.
Good question. Basically what I did is just deep fry them for roughly 30 seconds, 350 degrees.
If you're looking around the edge of the scallop, it gets really nice and golden.
Yeah, you can
on the edge.
You can see the color there. Let's go ahead and give these a flip. You can see we got a nice, beautiful crust there.
And they'll continue to cook even a little bit more when they're off the heat.
Absolutely. We'll take our beurre blanc that we made earlier. Just pour these around and right on top of the scallops. A little bit of chili oil. We're gonna stack our crispy egg noodles right on top.
It's like a crown.
Yes. I've got some micro cilantro here. This is truffle oil. We're gonna go right on top of the noodles. Gochugaru, or Korean kimchi flakes.
As beautiful as this is, I know it's going to even taste better.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Here's a quick tip from Melissa's. Green beans cooked to perfection are delicious, tossed with a sauce made with Asian-style ingredients. My grandkids love them so much, we build meals around them, passing the hot sauce at the table to match up with their spice love or mistrust. Some may stir-fry the beans, but I've found over the years that blanching is best. While the beans cook, toast the white sesame seeds in a small skillet. When they are just right lightly brown, move them to the plate. Oyster-flavored sauce, that bottled oh-so-tangy condiment, adds umami to the mix. Mirin, a type of rice wine, adds pizzazz along with rice vinegar. And sugar balances out the flavors with sweetness. Those toasted sesame seeds add a gentle crunch and welcome nuttiness. Get the recipe at cathythomascooks.com.